Namaste.
Sandosham.
I'm Amelia.
And I'm JP. And today we're going to share with you our travel tales and tips from our trip to India.
Yes. But before we get started on that, we wanted to spend a couple minutes, and when I say we, I mean JP, is going to spend a couple minutes explaining what is going on with our channel and why we did not post a video on Thursday.
Yes. So after we got back, well, I guess you could talk about this too. We hit the wall.
We did.
After a month of travel, we were exhausted. And then on top of that, both of our jobs really slammed us with a lot of work when we got back. We were like twice as busy as normal.
Yep.
And then we realized that we had some kind of fundamental issues with our channel that has required and is continuing to require a lot of my attention.
Yeah, so for the time being, we're going to reduce our videos to twice a week instead of 3 times a week, and we'll keep you guys all updated on everything that we have going on. We're doing a little more rebranding and working on some marketing and
housekeeping.
Housekeeping, yes, lots of housekeeping.
Our channel just isn't growing. We're growing in subscribers. We're over almost at 1,200 subscribers now, but the minutes and the views aren't growing at the same rate. So we're gaining new subscribers, but we're not gaining new watch time.
Right.
And I was doing some research trying to figure out why, and there are several videos that are newer than ours that are coming up way higher than us in the search results on both Google and in YouTube. And so in looking at their videos and what they were doing differently than us, I spotted a whole bunch of mistakes that I had made in our content of the videos, on the blog, and our SEO, and in the thumbnail images that you first see when you look at the video.
It's a learning process.
It is a learning process.
At least for us.
And I didn't realize either. I started looking at our analytics and I realized that most of our viewers are coming from mobile devices. And on mobile, you can't read our thumbnails. So if you can't see the thumbnail, you're not going to click it, which is hurting our growth and our watch time and all that. So it's going to take, I had to go back and fix 107 videos. And it's going to take me a little bit of time to do that. That's why we're only going to post 2 videos a week for the next few weeks.
But we'll get there. So.
And when she says we, she means me.
Yes, I don't know how to do that stuff. It's really a one-person project. Yeah,
it's very detail-oriented. That's my wheelhouse. That's not Amelia's.
No,
Amelia's a hummingbird. Imagine a hummingbird typing in descriptions on YouTube. It wouldn't work.
Anyway, well, of course, we'll keep you all updated on everything we're doing, and we will continue to post our videos.
And on that note, please remember to subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified of our upcoming videos. All right, on that note, roll the trailer. This video is going to share some of our travel tales that didn't make it into any of our other videos. A lot of things happened to us on this trip and we couldn't record all of them.
Exactly. The first thing that happened was American Airlines changed our flight out of Quito to Miami. We were originally supposed to leave at 6:45 a.m. and they changed it to a red-eye, which left at 1:45 a.m.
And we didn't get a refund for that either.
No. There's no such thing.
I know.
Anyway, it was fine. We just took a flight out of Cuenca to Quito and then went over to the food court area and had a nice dinner and did a little work.
And a lot of people don't realize this, but there is a food court. If you go outside of the Quito airport and across the street, there's a whole business center and a food court over there, and they have a delicious Noe sushi.
Yeah, and the Wi-Fi works very well.
Yeah, we were both able to work over there.
That's also where they have the extended travel rest area, which we've never been in.
Yeah, you can camp out in a Barca Lounger for a few hours if you want to.
Yes. So if anyone's done that, let us know what you think about it.
Yep. So we took our red eye to Miami, and while we were in Miami, we didn't do a lot of videoing there because most of it was boring shopping.
Yes, we had a lot of errands to run, like buying stuff for the trip, so we wanted to get some probiotics, like hand sanitizer. We got electrolytes and charcoal tabs.
And the universal power adapter.
Yes.
You got bikinis.
I did.
Because we've lost so much weight that Amelia's bikinis didn't fit her anymore, so we got her a couple of new bikinis.
Yes, and as many of you noticed, I got some new sunglasses. And the reason I did replace those is because, well, let's see, I broke a pair. I had one pair that really just fell apart on me. I had bought that pair of sunglasses in the early 90s.
And then she had a pair I don't like, and I won't let her wear in videos, so
So there you go.
So when we were in Miami, she's like, I want new sunglasses. I'm like, yeah, that's fine with me. It's a business expense.
Since somebody was complaining about them. Anyway.
But don't you love her new sunglasses? They're so her.
They're fun. When we were in Miami, on the way out to Amsterdam, we stayed at a residence inn because we wanted to stay somewhere with a kitchen. Knowing we were going to be traveling for so long, we wanted to have the opportunity to cook some of our meals, and that I think that helped us a lot.
It did. We didn't actually cook, but we did reheat.
We did reheat, yeah.
And we went to Whole Foods and got some salads and stuff.
Right, so we were able to eat a little bit lighter and healthier.
On our way back through Miami, we stayed at the Winter Haven Hotel, which is right on Ocean Drive. It's right across the street from the beach, and it was a lot different experience.
Yeah, it definitely reminded me of Vegas. A lot more partying and crazy outfits and stuff like that. We loved the hotel. They were super, super nice, very accommodating. But if you want a little more quiet experience, the Residence Inn was a lot calmer.
Yeah, it's about a mile probably from the beach on the other side of the island.
Yeah, and it took about a 20-minute walk to get over to the Winter Haven area. So it was really convenient still. I guess it really depends on the type of trip you want.
And they do have a free shuttle that you can take to the beach. But we walked.
We did.
After we left Miami, we took a British Airways flight. That's where the drama happened.
Oh, gosh. But this is a good learning experience for everyone.
It was very good. This falls under one of our tips.
Yes. So if you didn't hear from my our previous video, I fell asleep and they took my specially ordered meal away while I was sleeping, and I had not eaten anything. I think all I did was eat a piece of bread.
And you ate a little bit of your salad.
Yeah. But I left the main portion because I wasn't ready for it.
It was an awesome meal.
Allegedly.
It was.
Rumor has it.
Although they even took some of my stuff away that I was saving for later.
So we wanted to bring this up as a tip, agreed, because if you have to order a special meal like we did, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or gluten-free or whatever.
Have allergies.
Yes. Be aware that if you fall asleep, they will remove your food.
Yes.
And then the other thing is that if you have special dietary restrictions, they may not have anything else to give you, and that's a long flight.
Yeah, it was an 8.5-hour flight, I think, and they didn't have anything else for us.
They actually were able to scrounge up a really delicious salad for me out of first class, and I have to say they were so incredibly gracious about the whole thing. And had it been a short flight, I wouldn't have cared, but it was such a long flight that I knew I was going to eat something.
Yeah.
We didn't have did we have our trusty PB&Js with us?
We did.
Oh.
But we didn't feel like eating them because we had already eaten one that night.
Sometimes you get a little PB&J'd out.
Yeah, we always have PB&Js with us, or granola bars, or protein bars, but we were kind of tired of them because we'd been traveling so much already.
Yes. One of the other things we did not tell you about is that while we were in Amsterdam, JP had a tooth injury.
Yeah, I chipped a big chunk, the whole back corner off of one of my molars. We were eating a delicious salad. Apparently it had something more than just salad in it.
Yeah.
Because I bit down, and I think it was a grain of sand or something, and it just chipped the whole back corner off of my tooth. So I had a sore tooth the entire trip, because I really wanted to make it home to Dr. Grace. and she fixed it up for me last week. She did a great job, as usual.
Yes.
$45.
Yeah.
It probably would have cost $500 back in the States.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have been expensive for sure. You're right.
Because it wasn't just a simple filling. It chipped it clear down below the gum line. So it was a nasty one. Anyway, she fixed that for me. But
and it obviously didn't prevent him from eating anything else on the trip.
I just chewed on this side.
We both gained like 5 pounds at least. I don't know.
I gained 5 pounds. Amelia refused to weigh when we got home.
What's the point? I could tell I gained some weight.
Yeah. So the KLM, we took KLM, which is the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, that was a really nice flight too.
It was a really nice flight from Amsterdam to Mumbai. And they only had vegetarian meals on there. They brought out all of our vegan food first, but then they only offered vegetarian meals. And a lot of people were complaining. There are a lot of people who are lactose intolerant in this world.
Yeah, and
especially in Asia.
Apparently, they didn't have any option without any dairy in it. So another thing for you to think about if you have dietary restrictions.
Yeah.
A lot of these long flights, you can order special meals. You just have to go on their website. And I think you usually have to do it between 24 and 48 hours before you fly.
Yeah, usually through their website. And, if you're lactose intolerant or gluten intolerant, or, you can't eat any of those kinds of foods, you really need to pre-order your meals, especially on these long flights.
Yes. And, again, have bars and snacks.
And have backups ready.
Yes.
They did. Amelia scarfed down that meal before they even set it down.
Oh, shut up.
I swear she was going to eat the arm on the guy that delivered it.
Very funny.
She was not going to let that meal go to waste. It was delicious.
Well, and
too.
they give you, that's the thing on those really long flights, you get 2 meals because you get a dinner and a breakfast. So you definitely want to make sure you plan ahead.
Yep.
So one of the other experiences we had with our flights was that we were booked to fly from Mumbai to Trivandrum on Jet Airways, but they went out of business.
Yeah, and they didn't refund our money either.
No, they did not.
Paul and Patrick were on the same exact flight as us, but they got their money refunded.
Yes, I guess they were quicker than I was.
Yeah, they must have bought theirs
well.
sooner, and the company must have ran out of money before they got to us.
That's all right.
Yeah, so that also affected us on the way back because Jet Airways was running the flight for KLM on our return flight. And KLM didn't let us know that until, what, 6 days before the flight?
Yeah, we were quite surprised by that.
Yeah, and so we had to hurry up and try and get new flights. It was a big disaster because they moved our flight. They changed it to 1 day later. But we were going to miss our connecting flight back to the U.S. if we waited a day.
Right.
So Amelia got on the phone, and how many hours did that take?
It took like an hour and 45 minutes because I first started with Expedia, and then after being on the phone with them for a while, they're like, oh, you have to call the airlines. I was like, you couldn't have told me that in the first place.
Yeah.
But, okay, I called KLM, and they were so awesome. I have to say, again, we had great experiences with all the airlines. They were super helpful because there just weren't really good options of flying out of Mumbai. So we ended up changing and flying out of Delhi, and at first they said that they didn't know if they could do that, but they worked through it and they got us on a flight. We were flexible with our dates. That was a big deal.
We had to leave a day early.
Yeah, so that was disappointing, but we were still able to have a good flight. And
we also, it wasn't direct anymore. We were supposed to go direct from Mumbai to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Instead we had to fly to Delhi, which was a 4-hour flight from Trivandrum instead of an hour and a half flight.
Right.
And then we had to fly to Heathrow and then back to Amsterdam.
Yeah, so it definitely took more time. But
we had to leave a day early, and it pretty much took an extra day of travel because we had a 10-hour layover in Delhi while we were waiting for our flight.
Yeah, and what we didn't know was that there were no services in the Delhi airport until you actually get through security.
Yeah, so we showed up. We transferred on a bus from the domestic terminal over to the international terminal, and we went to go through the door. You have to show your boarding pass and ID just to get in the building.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, your flight doesn't leave for 10 hours. And we're like, yeah, what are we supposed to do? He's like, well, you can't leave once you go in.
So, but we just
assumed there would be something in there.
But there wasn't. But on the positive note, we got a lot of work done.
Yeah, I was able to
because they had good Wi-Fi.
I got one video finished and another one completely edited while we were there.
Yeah, so we did make good use of our time.
But I was shocked they didn't have any sit-down restaurants. They had a couple junk food kiosks. And it was rated best airport in the world.
It is. It's
if you read the fine print, it's got a bunch of restrictions on that. So basically, every airport in the world is the best airport in the world.
It was really nice once we got through security, but we couldn't check in. Yeah. We were too early to get checked in and go through security, but it all worked out. It was nice and quiet in there, though. So, like I said, we were able to get a lot of work done.
And we did lots of laps around to keep ourselves awake.
Yes.
Because our flight didn't leave till 2 in the morning.
Oh yeah, it was like 1:15 or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
ridiculously late. So when we got to Trivandrum, we went shopping with Chinu, and then we didn't video this, but that's where we bought our rings.
Yes.
Yeah, we got those in Trivandrum with Chinu. I wish you could have seen Chinu working in action in that jewelry store. Those guys, so first of all, it's all guys behind the counter. They have women in there, but they're in saris, usually working hospitality type things, bringing drinks and welcoming people into the store, but it's all guys behind the counter. And Chinu had them sweating bullets.
Yeah, she got us an awesome deal. We went to the first place, a different jeweler, and she was not satisfied with the prices.
No, she's like, it's too much money. They won't come down at all.
Yeah, and she's
like, do you like those rings? And we're like, oh, they're all right. She's like, let's go somewhere else.
Yeah,
she just got up and stomped out. And then we went to the other place, and man, and that's where the other place is where she had bought some of her jewelry for the wedding. And so she really negotiated.
She did. She got him to come down a few $100, I think.
Yeah.
So we got a really good price on our ring. So thanks, Chino.
Yeah, thank you, Chino. That was
a fun experience.
It was really fun.
Although you were so exhausted, remember?
Yeah, that's when the jet lag finally hit me. We hadn't felt jet lag. Even going to Amsterdam, I never felt it. And all the way to India, and I never felt it. And then when we were sitting in that jewelry store, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought I was going to fall asleep in the chair.
Yes.
I kept nodding off while she's over there negotiating. We were all tired.
Even Chino, by the end of that day when we went and picked the rings up, everyone was exhausted.
Yeah.
But it was really fun.
It was fun.
She was such a good negotiator.
I know, man. The C's part when she walks into a store. After the wedding, we went to Munnar, and then we got a ride back, a taxi back to Cochin to fly back to Trivandrum. We wanted to mention our taxi driver. We called him Kumario. So the drivers in India are pretty crazy drivers. I mean, we complained about Cuenca being crazy drivers. It makes Cuenca look like altar boys.
Yeah, I have a whole new perspective on driving in Cuenca now.
Yeah, because the Indian drivers it's just a free for all on the roads. Everybody's going every which direction, driving the wrong way down the street. I mean, and everybody's passing, whether there's cars coming or not.
And there's tuk-tuks all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just,
And motorcycles with like 4 people on them.
And women in their saris.
Yeah, side saddle carrying an infant.
Yes.
That's amazing. So our drive was supposed to take us 4 to 4.5 hours from Munnar to the Cochin airport.
Right, and we had wanted to stop for lunch. So we had planned, we went with Paul and Patrick, and we had planned to take plenty of time.
Yeah, so we had like 8 hours to get to the airport. And we told the driver, we want to go take our time, take some pictures. We want to stop for lunch, and that just
none of that happened.
None of that happened. We made that 4.5 hour drive in 3 hours flat.
It was terrifying.
It was terrifying.
I had to break out the Dramamine, and that rarely happens to me.
Yeah, and my neck was stiff for 2 days afterwards.
Because the roads were so windy. We were
all car sick. Everybody else on the road was honking at him and yelling at him.
And he's like the sweetest, nicest guy, but whoo.
He was so nice. He was all smiles
focused.
And man, I told the guys that I think he has a bet with the other taxi drivers. He probably geotagged himself when he got to the airport. And so see, I made it in 3 hours. I knew it could be done.
So that happened.
Yeah, it was all of our other drivers that we'd had. All of them, the hired drivers and our Basil's family that drove us, everybody was so good. We were really spoiled.
We were. And it's not that he was, it was a really nice car. It was really comfortable. It was just way too fast.
Way too fast.
But
lots of passing.
Yeah. He was very aggressive.
On 2-lane mountain curvy roads. And it was a scary trip. But we were all very thankful that when we got to the airport.
Yes, we were. And the nice thing is that Cochin has a new airport as well, and it was quite fancy.
So I looked it up. It's not even that new. It said it was built in '99.
Oh.
It's a super nice airport. I don't know if that's right or not, but regardless, it is a super nice airport. Probably one of the nicest airports that we've been in.
And it was so quiet. All the airports were super quiet. Mm-hmm. So we did have an interesting experience with Air India. And it's not that it was a bad experience. It was just different.
It was a bad experience.
Okay, well, I'm trying to be positive. It was not my favorite flight.
No, there was a really, really old Indian woman who didn't speak any English sitting right behind me. I think it was probably her first flight ever. And she kept kicking the back of my seat the whole flight. We're talking 10 hours. And I was trying to figure out how she was doing it. So I turned around and looked, and she was asleep like this. And she kept banging. Like she would go like the head bob into the back of my seat like that, over and over the whole flight. That
poor woman must have had quite the headache.
She must have. I don't know how you can bang your head like that and keep sleeping.
I know, that's impressive.
And then also, we had our drinks and stuff, and I wanted to recline my seat and go to sleep. And I reclined my seat, and I smashed. She had like a can of soda or something, and smashed it. And she's like yelling at me to not recline my seat. I'm like, this is a long flight. I'm reclining. And so it was loud too. The flight was so loud. The flight was loud.
That was what was interesting to me because it was in the middle of the night. Which reminds me, I got noise canceling headphones, and I was really grateful for them.
I did not, and I was jealous.
And these are like the earbud style. I highly recommend them if you don't want to have those big over-the-head headphones.
The big Princess Leia headphones?
Yes, they worked really well, and then they just plug right into my phone. And I was really happy for them because it was pretty loud on there.
Yeah, it was like a big party for really like the first 2 to 3 hours of the flight. And the flight left, like we said, at 1 something in the morning. So until like 4 or 5 a.m., everybody was like partying on the flight. Well, and then the food.
And then, of course, our food consisted of cucumber slices and pepper slices.
So this is a 10 hour 45-minute flight. And for dinner, we had our choice of cucumber slices and sliced peppers and sliced carrots. And then for breakfast, we had our choice of cucumber slices, sliced peppers, and sliced carrots.
Yes, and I think we already complained about this in another video, but still.
I know, I couldn't believe it. It's probably like 60 calories per meal is all it was on that plate. And we had pre-ordered their vegan meals, and they brought it out, and they're like, here's a vegan meal. I'm like, this is not a meal. This is barely a snack.
It wasn't a vegan meal because they didn't have a vegan meal option. So the closest thing I could find was the raw vegetarian option. But I figured that would be at least a salad, some fruit, something.
Some fruit or something.
It definitely was raw vegetarian.
Yeah. Yeah, I said, this is a vehicle for hummus. This is not a meal. And they didn't have any hummus either.
Obviously, we haven't quite recovered from that.
I have not. That's a long flight to have such
I know, JP was angry.
I was really angry because I hadn't eaten, and we didn't have our PB&Js with us because we've been traveling. We basically just had a bag full of nuts and junk food.
We weren't as well prepared to fly as we normally were, so we were a little disappointed in that. But clearly we survived, and since we gained weight, that probably wasn't a bad thing.
It's probably not a bad thing to have
in retrospect.
But I don't really like doing a fast day on an airplane.
No.
Once we got back in Miami and we were waiting for our flight to Quito, this was a couple days later, we spent an entire 5 days getting back from India to Cuenca.
We did.
So when we were waiting for our flight from Miami back to Quito, well, first of all, they had delayed it already. It was supposed to be a 6 p.m. flight, and they changed the flight to 9:30 p.m., which made it difficult for us. It's a 4.5-hour flight, so we had hotel reservations. It was going to be inconvenient, as it was. But then they had a bird strike, is what they called it. Somebody spotted a dead bird on the tarmac, and so they had to do an entire plane inspection, and it took 2 hours.
And again, you can't get upset about this because obviously you don't want to find out the hard way that there's something wrong with the plane.
Yeah.
But I think that at the tail end, we were just so ready to be done flying, and we were tired. We knew we were going to get in late. We thought we would get in enough time to have a nice night's sleep at the Puembo Hotel. And I had messaged them because already we had to get picked up at like 1 o'clock in the morning or 1:30 or something like that. We got to Quito, and by the time we got our luggage, it was 3:45, and the driver from the San Jose de Puembo Hotel was there waiting for us.
With a big smile.
Yes. We were so thank you.
Yeah, we love Puembo.
We do.
And we love their driver, and the place is amazing. So we'll put a link to Puembo in the description below.
Yeah.
If you're ever in Quito or need to stay at some place really nice that's very affordable and not too far from the airport, that's a great place.
It is a great place. We like it because the rooms are really comfortable. They have really good food, and the grounds are beautiful.
It's really nice just to walk around the grounds.
And they were so accommodating too. They let us do a late checkout, and they have that nice shuttle.
Yeah, the shuttle took us back to the airport.
And it doesn't matter what time it is. You just have to plan ahead for that.
Yeah, and the shuttle's free, but I tipped the guy $10 for being there at 3:45 in the morning with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And then he drove us back to the airport the next afternoon. And I'm like, you're still working?
And he was still smiling.
And he was still smiling.
That says a lot.
It does.
We do have some travel tips we want to share with you. Besides getting some noise-canceling headphones.
And booking your meals, ordering your meals beforehand. So our first tip is to get eye masks.
Yes.
Like these. I did not wear this side out. I wore the black side out.
My mom got me this one. I know. I'm glad I brought that other one.
Yeah, they work really well.
They do work really well. Our British Airways flight, it was daylight, and I was sleeping, so I was really grateful for the eye mask.
The next tip is to take a power strip with you, like this. And you can just plug your universal power adapter right into it.
Yeah, that thing worked perfectly.
I actually got this idea from Lost LeBlanc. I saw one of his videos, and he gave this idea because in other countries there are not very many plug outlets. In our apartment in Amsterdam, the same with everywhere we stayed in India, it was very, very slim on power outlets.
Yeah,
it was really nice to have a power strip to charge all of our stuff.
Yeah, that was a great idea. And it worked perfectly.
Yeah, because I had to charge my batteries. We had to charge our phones, Amelia's tablet. wallet, my laptop.
My toothbrush.
Oh, yeah, the toothbrush.
I love my electric toothbrush. It keeps my smile nice.
We got to keep the smile nice. And another piece of it, another tip that goes along with this is to make sure and take extra chargers with you for your camera and phone or whatever, because Patrick broke his battery charger for his camera on the trip, and that's not stuff you can easily find in some other countries.
Fortunately, you two have the same camera.
Yeah, and I had 2 chargers with me, so I loaned one of my chargers to him.
Yes. Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah, you just never know. It's always good to have extra on that kind of stuff.
On that kind of stuff. Don't... one of our tips is not to overpack.
Yeah.
As we're talking about packing extra stuff. But if it's something that's super important that you know you're not going to be able to replace, like a specific charger, I would definitely bring a spare if possible.
Yep. So one of the things we bought when we were in Miami on our way out, we bought charcoal pills, electrolytes, probiotics, and hand sanitizer. Amelia bought like 10 gallons of hand sanitizer that we had to trek across the planet. It wasn't that much. I tried to talk her into just getting 1 container. Instead, we got 4.
Well, I read a lot about people
getting sick. And how much
sick.
did we use?
We used like half of one.
I
may have gotten a little carried away with the hand sanitizer.
So that's the most worldly hand sanitizer out there.
Well, I don't think the stuff expires since it's basically alcohol.
Yeah.
So now we'll be prepared for the rest of our trips. But we used all the probiotics. We used that electrolytes. And we used the charcoal tabs too. The charcoal tabs are supposed to help if you have like an upset tummy. Our final tip is to check into Airbnb. We loved the place we stayed, and part of the reason we wanted to do an Airbnb was because we wanted to have a kitchen so we didn't have to eat out as much. That definitely helped with the waistline, even though we did gain some weight.
Yeah. But the other nice thing about Airbnb is we saved $1,500 over the hotel, like a comparable hotel in the city center area.
Yeah, and we loved it because we were in a neighborhood, that Jordan neighborhood.
Jordan.
Yeah,
they swallow their J.
Thank you.
Jordan.
It was such a cool, awesome neighborhood. We would stay there again in a heartbeat.
I know. I actually kind of miss that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I love Cuenca. Cuenca.
We love Cuenca. We're not going anywhere.
But man, it was so nice there.
We would definitely go back and visit.
Yes, we definitely would. But yeah, check into Airbnb. Despite some of the negative press they've been getting lately, we had a really good experience. They do millions of rentals.
Well, you have to do your research just with everything else.
And we went with somebody who'd been renting for a while. He had lots of really positive reviews. I was able to talk to him and ask him some questions ahead of time, so we had a really, really positive experience. Yeah. And it saved us a lot of money.
It did.
Because when we were looking at hotels, I about had a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, we need to cut our trip in Amsterdam short just because of the lodging.
Amsterdam is an expensive city. Definitely worth it, but it is pricey.
Yeah, so the Airbnb was a lot cheaper.
It was.
All right, I think that's it. We've rambled on long enough with
Sorry, guys.
With our travel tales and tips.
I'm sure we're going to have more travel tales and tips to share with you because we have more trips planned around Ecuador, which I'm really excited about. And I'm also excited to pack less.
Yes.
That is my goal. I'm putting it out there so everyone holds me accountable.
I only had 2 things in my suitcase that I didn't wear on that whole trip. In 4 weeks, 2 things. I think
I wore everything, but like I said, I probably could have rotated. Yeah. Plus, we brought stuff back. I didn't know I was going to be bringing back yards and yards of
saris and lingas.
Yes.
And I brought back my sheet, my dhoti,
yes.
And this shirt that I'm wearing right now.
I really like
I love this shirt.
It looks nice on you.
All right, that's it for today. Okay. Hopefully you guys have stuck around today. Yeah. This is going to be probably a long one. Every time we sit down to talk, I'm like, I hope we get 10 minutes worth. And then it's 30 minutes later, and I'm like, how am I going to edit all this out?
I know. JP's like, I'm going to have to start cutting some stuff. We talk too much.
Yes. All right, that's it for this time. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.
We definitely did overpack for this trip, so one of our goals for future trips is to learn how to pack less.
Okay, we're rolling.